So this video, I think we can call suspensions and milestones because we have some suspensions to get to as we got some updates in regards to the situation between the Peterborough Petes and the Erie Otters. And also the Ontario Hockey League has made its ruling when it comes to Cam Allen of the London Knights. So let's dive right into it. We're going to start off with today's news from the Ontario Hockey League as they've concluded their review into the actions of Cam Allen, who of course pleaded guilty recently to one count of impaired driving. And of course, with all the legalities, he's got a probation order, he's got fines, he's got to go in for substance abuse programs and whatnot. So the OHL, with that decision, has announced that he is eligible to return to the London Knights lineup on March 15th. So that would be a game on the 16th against the Windsor Spitfires. And with that decision, that means he's going to miss a total of 15 games as a result of the incident that took place in London on February 8th. So he's already missed 10 games so far and will miss the next 5 games for the London Knights as they make this final push towards the 2025 postseason. Now, there is more than just being allowed to be reinstated. He also has to do a mandatory enrollment in a counseling program for substance use and associated treatment plan. He is also required to engage in community service dedicated to giving back to the hockey community, as well as participation in an accountability program, and he'll be subject to an ensuing probationary period upon his return to play. So it's not just the OHL saying he can come back. He also has to, of course, fulfill these obligations. And I know there's a lot of fans who are voicing their opinions in regards to this decision from the Ontario Hockey League, saying that maybe they're being a little too light on Cam Allen, or maybe because he plays for the London Knights. I know I've seen that argument a few times on social media. But the bottom line is he is taking responsibility for his actions. That's why he was a week early and giving his plea of guilty to the charge of impaired driving. And when you look at the history of junior hockey, there have been impaired driving charges in the past. Looking back to an incident that happened in 2011 in the Western Hockey League, there was a player involved in a fatal incident where he was originally charged for impaired driving, and the impaired charge was eventually dropped in court, and he eventually pleaded guilty to speeding. With that situation, of course, that player not officially identified because he was 17 at the time of that incident and would return to play junior hockey after that. So that incident also happened, I believe, in the month of April. So he didn't miss a lot of time, suffered a leg injury, and was reinstated the following season. So when you look at the way things are with these charges, the OHL only has so much to follow by. And I really don't envy Brian Crawford and the team that looks at player safety and the disciplinary action, because this is so hard. As obviously it's a very serious offense, impaired driving, but then it's trying to determine, okay, so he's taken responsibility, he's been found guilty, this is what he has to do with community service hours. Do you let him come back? And the OHL has ruled that as long as he follows these steps, he can be reinstated as early as March 16th. So I know this is a little divisive topic today around social media circles when it comes to the OHL, but I just wanted to do a video here just to tell you the ruling and when he's coming back. And let me know in the comments below your thoughts on the OHL's decision. Are you okay with him coming back March 16th when the Knights play the Windsor Spitfires? Do you think it's too lenient? Or do you think this is just right? Because, like I said, there's been previous incidents where players have only missed a short amount of games and have come back from charges similar to this. So it's a very touchy subject, I understand, but it is what it is. This is what the OHL has ruled today in regards to this. The OHL has also made a ruling in regards to the situation that happened in Erie between the Otters and the Peterborough Petes. You'll remember that there was a fight on the ice as Alex Messier going after a pair of Peterborough Pete players after an incident involving the Petes bumping Charlie Burns, the goaltender of the Erie Otters, during a TV timeout. Messier took exception to that, went after Parrish, and then Strohak was the third man in, stepping in for his teammate. And then, of course, the two head coaches, Doug Wilson and Chris Millette, going nose to nose off the benches with the arguments that were taking place. Messier also trying to get involved off the ice, it was quite the mess. And the Ontario Hockey League has determined that head coach of the Erie Otters, Chris Millette, has been suspended 5 games, while assistant coach Ken Paroff suspended 2 games for his actions, as he also came off the bench and was interacting in the scrum that took place. The Erie Otters Hockey Club also fined $7,500 as a result. As for Messier, he's been handed a 9-game suspension as a result of his infractions, which included being assessed a game misconduct, an aggressor, as well as a game misconduct for continuing an altercation while also exceeding the regular season fighting major threshold. So that comes with an automatic 2-game suspension. So the stuff that happened after the initial fight, he's going to get a 7-game suspension. So 7 games for what happened after the fact, and then 2 games for exceeding the threshold for fights. And then on the Peterborough Pete's side, I think I said Doug Wilson, the head coach. I meant to say Rob Wilson. He's been assessed a 5-game suspension as well, just like Millette. And the Peterborough Pete's Hockey Club fined $5,000. And then Graydon Strohack also suspended 4 games as a result of infractions that included a game misconduct for being the third man into a fight, which is an automatic 2-game suspension, as well as a game misconduct for continuing an altercation. So a lot of suspensions handed out here. We were kind of expecting suspensions and fines, and the OHL, they conducted their review, and they released this statement just a couple hours before the Peterborough Petes were set to take on the Ottawa 67s last night. So that means head coach Rob Wilson has already served the first of 5 of his suspension, along with Strohack serving his first of 4 into that situation. So it was quite the mess in Erie. I think the fans were entertained by it. I saw a couple of comments in the video when I talked about the situation originally. They said it was an intense atmosphere, and I could well imagine, as we don't typically see that in the Ontario Hockey League, something that really we haven't seen in quite a while. Although at the school day game in Brampton between the Steelheads and the Oshawa Generals, there was a line brawl in that hockey game, as that one got a little spirited. So it seems as though the rough stuff a little bit on the rise around the Ontario Hockey League. And you kind of expect it when the intensity is building up, playoffs around the corner, and these games having a lot of playoff implications down this final stretch. Now, I wanted to also touch on some milestones, as Zayne Parekh of the Saginaw Spirit, he is joining some elite company in the Ontario Hockey League as a defenseman. He reached the 100-point mark in Saginaw's win over the Barrie Colts, and he is now the first defenseman in 14 years to reach the 100-point mark since Ryan Ellis did it in 2011 with the Windsor Spitfires. He's also the 9th defenseman in OHL history to have 100 points. And you have to go back to Brian Fogarty. He was the Niagara Falls Thunders. He actually led the league in scoring in the 1988-89 season, I believe. And he's the last defenseman to do that feat. And so he had a 100-point season. Also, Jamie Rivers, Scott McClellan, Bruce Cassidy, Sean Evans, Chris Felix, and Rick Wilson are the other players to have hit 100 points as a defenseman. So I just wanted to highlight Zayne Parekh here. I know he could be a little controversial. Some fans not too thrilled with his antics on the ice, but you have to give him credit. He has got an amazing shot, a nose for the net. And I mentioned it in the Power Rankings video earlier this week that he is the first defenseman since Bobby Orr to score 30-goal seasons back-to-back. So 2 30-goal seasons for Zayne Parekh. So he just continues to make history with the Saginaw Spirit, as that team right now sitting 4th in the Western Conference standings. And they won't be able to catch the Windsor Spitfires. That's because Windsor last night clinching the West Division title, the 3rd time over the last 4 years that the Spitfires have won the division title. So that means they will finish no lower than 2nd in the Western Conference standings. They got work to do if they're going to try and catch London. I think it's pretty likely they finish 2nd, but still, congrats to the Spitfires. Going from last to 1st in their division, quite the achievement, as this Spitfires team, a very young team, maybe peaking a little early in their development. A lot of people thought they'd be a team challenging for the playoffs this year. No one thought they'd be winning the West Division. That was maybe a plan for down the road. Maybe next season we would have seen Windsor compete like we're seeing right now. But some big congrats going out to the Spitfires. And I thought this was interesting. This is only the 5th time that the Spitfires have won the division title since it was created in the 94-95 season. You have to go back to 2009 and 2010. Those were the first 2 years they were division champions. And of course, they won the OHL championship those 2 seasons with Ryan Ellis and Taylor Hall. They would also go on to win back-to-back Memorial Cups. And then 2022 and 2023 are the other seasons they've won the division. Now, when you look at the other division leaders, it could go down to the last few games before we find out who will win the East Division. The Brantford Bulldogs right now, a 1-point lead over the Oshawa Generals and a 3-point lead over the Kingston Frontenacs. Kingston, of course, 1 game in hand on Brantford and Oshawa. So the East Division race, it's been pretty intense. So it's right now a coin toss as to who's going to win that division. But then when you look at the Central, the Barrie Colts have a 10-point lead on the Brampton Steelheads. Both those teams have 8 games remaining, and if my math is correct, the Barrie Colts just need to win 3 out of their next 8 games to clinch the Central Division title. And in the Midwest Division, the London Knights 8 points up on the Kitchener Rangers. And for London, they do have 2 games in hand on Kitchener. And if my math is correct on that, London, another team that just needs 3 more wins, and they'll clinch first in the Midwest Division once again. So, like I said, this video all about suspensions and milestones. Let me know in the comments down below your thoughts on any of these items. I know it's pretty controversial right now when it comes to the Cam Allen situation with the Ontario Hockey League's ruling, but I just wanted to pass it on here. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on anything going on with the OHL. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. We'll talk to you soon.